Welcome back to another edition of the Washington Nationals here on OOTP 27. And as you can see, we are here at the end of the season as we have had a terrible 259 score here for season number 1 in 2026. Just not a good year for the Nationals. As far as who your Major League Baseball champions are, the World Series champions, the Atlanta Braves, taking 4-1 over the New York Yankees in the World Series. They took out the Brewers in 7 in the LCS, in 5 in the DS. They beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then over in the American League side of things, the Yankees took the Blue Jays to 7. And then in the DS, they swept the Astros, who came out of the wild card round. So pretty, boring matchup. You get two teams that have been there multiple times in recent memory. Or I guess the Braves have been there multiple times. But I mean, the Braves are in recent memory. Just an entire postseason of watching people wearing SEC polos, doing the chop in the crowd. I mean, just terrible vibes. Just truly stuff. John Smoltz is probably still on the broadcast, saying god-awful thing after god-awful thing. Speaking of dumb broadcasters, though, I got the Cubs-Pirates game on here over in the background while I'm doing this offseason, and what is with the Cubs broadcast? This is something I've noticed over the past couple of years. They talk about anything but the game. But anyways, here at the start of our offseason, we do have a couple things to go over here right at the start. One is that Seaver King just won Most Valuable Player down in the Eastern League AA. Really good year for him. He gets the majority of the votes. The 23-year-old second baseman, probably not a shortstop, more second baseman, corner outfielder. Hasn't played or has played some corner outfield, actually. So yeah, second baseman, corner outfielder. I don't think he's going to make the opening day roster for us in 2027, but he could definitely be in the mix for a spot down the stretch in the 2027 season. So Seaver King, definitely somebody we are keeping our eye on after a very, very good season in the Eastern League. And then we also had the best pitcher in the South Atlantic League, which is the league I grew up going to games with the Lakewood Blue Claws, now known as the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. But Josh Randall, not really an impressive prospect, but probably just a bit too old for the level. 24 years old, just recently turned 24, from the San Diego area. I'm assuming this is in the San Diego area, but he went to San Diego in college and put together a 2.5 WAR with just a really good ERA, solid FIP, and struck out a decent amount of guys. Just 100th percentile pitching run value. Fastball was crazy. Same with the breaking ball. His walk rate was insane. And then the other stuff, honestly, not really that great. So, as he goes up the levels, he's probably not going to be great. This was probably just an oversight on my part of keeping him in high A and not promoting him at some point, because he probably shouldn't be in high A as a 23-year-old all season. But who knows? Maybe he gets some sort of boost from this on the next scouting portion of or the next development update from our scout. And then some bad news is that our fan loyalty has now dropped to below average. That's not great. We do not want that. It's going to influence our budget in a negative way in the future. Our budget this season is going to be $174 million. That is the 27th budget in Major League Baseball. We have the 30th payroll in Major League Baseball. So, a lot of money opened up here this offseason, though. So we've got some spending room, some flexibility, and I do want to be like a scrappy team this year. Once again, we're not going to be trying to compete for a World Series right away, but I do think that we could push for a wild card spot. I don't think we're going to dethrone the Braves at the top of the division, but I do think we can push for a wild card spot here in the East, in the National League. So I think we should try to do that. We should try to shore up some spots in our team here. As far as what those spots will be, I am not 100% sure yet. The other thing we have to do is decide on Cade Cavalli's option year for $4 million. I mean, it's $4 million. He's a solid pitcher. That's an easy. We're just going to go ahead and execute that option. He will be back for us this season. Cade Cavalli is returning. But as far as the rest of it goes, we've got the arbitration to look through. I doubt Alzolay's back. Irvin's not going to be back. Let's just withdraw these guys right away. Those guys will not be here. Mitchell Parker, I don't think we're going to bring him back at $2.4 million. I think we can get similar value to what he gave us, if not better, for a less expensive and also just better on paper sort of player. 40 home runs allowed, 35 stuff is not really what I'm looking to bring onto our staff here as an extreme fly ball guy. So Mitchell Parker will withdraw that. And we will shop these guys, see if we could trade for some like quad A, post prospect type guys, maybe give them a chance on our team. But I doubt these guys garner really any trade value at all. Azalea maybe because he had the trade value at the deadline, but we'll see how things go. Cionel Perez, honestly, we might bring him back at $1.4 million. He's a lefty who's got good home runs allowed, good movement, decent enough stuff. Ground ball pitcher, and you can never have too many serviceable lefties, and he was pretty good for us this season. So we might bring him back. I'll keep his offer for now. We'll definitely tweak that at some point. Ken Waldichuk, coming off a partially torn UCL, probably not going to bring him back. We'll keep it there for now, but we'll see what that's going to be like. Ron Marinaccio, no options. He's a Toms River guy. Went to Toms River North. But I don't think we're going to bring him back. Probably not. I mean, he doesn't have the worst home runs allowed, but he also doesn't have really great stuff or control. Like, if the guy has like 45 movement, 45 home runs allowed, I'd like to see his stuff or control be a bit higher. His, unfortunately, is not. He's just kind of mediocre across the board. I doubt we bring him back at $1.2 million or around that. Riley Adams, 1,000% will not be back. He was not even on my radar for this season. As a catcher we were ever going to do anything with. And then CJ Abrams, we're going to have to probably, I shouldn't say we have to trade him, but I think we are going to trade him coming off this season with 4 separate stints of injury and just missed a ton of games. He only played 37 Major League games this season, and he was serviceable in those games, but I mean, he's like a second baseman now that we have Nasim Nunez, who obviously is all glove and not really any bat whatsoever, but Abrams just isn't really a shortstop at this point with only 60 range, so I think I'd rather just kind of get value for him as a guy who has how many years of team control left? I guess he has 2 years. So he has this upcoming season and then the year after that. So I mean, we could keep him for one more season, or we could just trade him and see how that goes. But we'll definitely shop him around and see what's out there for Abrams, what we could possibly get. And then Jacob Young, I mean, he's got 3 option years still. We'll probably just bring him back as like depth center field, but I doubt he's going into the year as our starting center field option with how terrible he was in the 42 games that he played. He was good in center field, but the bat was just so bad that it's not really worth doing anything with. But he'll probably be back as like a depth option, especially since he has those option years. Trevor Williams will be praying to God that somebody signs him. We will not be doing that. And then I'll look through these. I doubt there's really too many guys here that we are interested in bringing back, but we will look through that to sign to the minor league guys. And then I'll also just be taking a look at what we could possibly have here, but we will cut back in here in a second. Alrighty, so I've gone ahead and added all the guys who just are obvious adds to the 40-man. We've removed some of the guys that are obvious not coming back and were not arbitration eligible as well, like if we look in the DFA section, like Gus Varland, he's clearly not coming back. Paxton Schultz here, clearly we don't give a shit about this guy. Levi Jordan was only on the roster because we were so desperate for a backup infielder at one point. So he's obviously not coming back. So guys like that, we DFA just got rid of, and we'll just be straight up releasing. But right now, just as like a rough guide of what we think things could be looking like. Also, this should be like flipped around or something like this. Yeah, so basically, just as like a rough guide of what players we think will be playing where, like Harry Ford's going to be our catcher again. We want him to solidify himself as the catcher. As far as the backup catcher, it's probably going to be Keibert Ruiz because I doubt we're going to be able to get off this contract in a realistic way. But if we can, then it's probably going to be either Drew Milas or Caleb Lomavita, who is down here and not Rule 5 eligible, so we don't actually have to add him to the 40-man yet. I'd rather just have him be in AAA and get some time down there. But he's probably somebody we call up at some point in the future once we figure out our catching situation, once Keibert Ruiz gets the hell out of here, if we can ever figure out how to do that. Because as you can see here, in 183 plate appearances and 71 games, not a lot of encouraging stuff going on with these percentile rankings with Keibert Ruiz, as you would expect. And he expects to start, nonetheless. So, of course he does. So then, first base is going to be this is just kind of like a guess. If we stick with what we have in the system, it's going to be some like Mervis, Chaparro, Rosario, one of these guys, maybe two of these guys, maybe we have a platoon going on, but I'm thinking that James Wood at this point, or maybe James Wood plays first, and then these guys become like the DH sort of platoon. But I think I'd rather have them play first and then just have Wood DH, or maybe we have Wood play first base. It's probably just who's better at first base. I mean, Wood's a 35 range or the 50 potential at first. Mervis is a 55 at first. Chaparro's a 55 at first. And then Rosario hasn't played first yet, but he's probably going to be a similar, like, 55-ish at first. So we'll probably do something like that, where if we do not bring in anybody else for first base, it's going to be, like, some combination or one of these three who plays for. If it's Mervis, I doubt we let him play against lefties, too, so we'd probably have a righty on the order, or on the team to play against lefties. Or maybe we do something where, like, we leave the DH spot open against lefties, and then Wood shifts to first base against lefties, and Mervis just goes to the bench, and then we have just, like, a DH open spot as, like, the 7th spot in the order. I might do something like that, but for now, this is just, like I said, a rough idea of what the roster is looking like with what we have in the system at the moment of guys who are obviously going to be on the 40-man roster. Second base, not really sure what's going to happen there because we're probably going to trade C.J. Abrams, but if he's back, then he'll be the second baseman. Jose Tena and Brady House are probably going to platoon at third base. They both still want to start. Tena's a lefty who can't really hit against left-handed pitching. On paper, he should be able to, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't. So it just kind of makes sense to have the left-handed bat hit against righties, and then Brady House, who's really all pop and BABIP, and then no walk whatsoever, and then also a below-average avoid K, and has proven that he is terrible against righties, but he can mash against lefties. So it just kind of makes sense to have them in a platoon. I'd rather have Brady House be like the everyday third baseman, or one of these guys solidifies the everyday third baseman and not have to have a platoon. But if we have to platoon, then at least we have the perfect setup with Tena and House, or at least theoretically it's the perfect setup. Nunez is going to be the shortstop, that's no question. And then Dylan Cruz, we want him to be the everyday left fielder, but we might do something where we platoon something with him, and who knows. But right now, we want this guy to be like a cornerstone player for us. But he's another guy who last year was good against lefties and terrible against righties. You look at his ratings, and it's pretty obvious. He's not really developing against right-handed pitching. So, we'll have to play him against right-handed pitching for him to develop some of that stuff. But, I mean, if it goes poorly, like a couple months into the season, we might just be kind of like trying to platoon him. But at least to start the season, he's probably going to be the everyday left fielder. And I think he's just better in left, so we're going to get him some time there in spring, so he gets this up. And then in right field, it's going to be Dalen Lyle. He's going to be a right fielder. That's pretty obvious. And then center field, we kind of just have no idea. It's going to be Jay Allen or Jacob Young as like the backup center fielder. And then starting center field, that's something we're going to try to acquire here this offseason. If we can't, then it's probably just going to be Jay Allen or Jacob Young in center field. So that would be a desperation plan because we want to try to get somebody in that spot. But if we can't, then it's probably going to be one of these two guys. I'm probably leaning Jay Allen just because he's got that eye to go with the speed, where Jacob Young, I guess, kind of is just like a slap hitter. But I mean, he's gotten more time, and he proved that he just really wasn't a center fielder for us. And then James Wood, like I said, he's either going to be a first baseman or a DH. I just don't think he's a left fielder at this point anymore. He didn't get a ton of time in left field for us, but I mean, in 16 games, he was already at a negative ZR, so it's probably going to be a negative ZR again. if he played even longer there. Obviously, he's not great at any position, but the bat is obviously very, very good for James Wood. Do we want this cornerstone of our team to be a DH? Not particularly, but that's just kind of how it goes with him as not a great defender. And then as far as some of the backups go, like Philip Glasser will still be around probably. We've got Robert Hassel, who's around as a left-handed bat. He might get some more time in the big leagues this season. There's Christian Franklin, who's around as a bat. He might get some more time in the big leagues. Both of them have multiple options as well. Christian Franklin still has 2 option years, and Robert Hassel has 1 more option year. So they still have options. And then when it comes to the pitching side of things, right now, we could just run like a rotation of Cade Cavalli, Yarlin Susana, Connor Prelip, Brad Lord, and Luis Perales, I'm thinking, as a young guy, and just kind of give our young guys a shot. Or we could go out into free agency and maybe Brad Lord gets pushed to the pen, or one of these guys, maybe Perales gets pushed to the pen, and we go out and sign like a veteran to like solidify this staff. If we do that, I would want them to be like a guy towards the top with Cavalli, like a 1-2 type thing, because I don't think Cavalli is the opening day starter type guy, but maybe Susana could develop into that. Honestly, I'd probably start Susana opening day, so if I was doing this to be like serious, I would probably go like Susana, Cavalli, Prelip, Lord, and Perales as the 1 through 5. So we could go with like let our guys pitch, or we could go with sign a veteran or 2 and push some of these guys into more of like a depth role, because you're going to need depth because guys are going to get hurt. And then as far as the bullpen goes, with guys that we already have in the system, these 4 dudes, or I just called up Cornelio, he's probably going to go like long relief. These 3 dudes are all 100% gone. They will not be back for next season. They will all be off the roster once the people go into free agency. These 4 guys, I'm thinking, have guaranteed spots in the Major League bullpen, at least to start the season. Zach Maxwell, Andre Granillo, who had a great season as a closer / high leverage guy for us for some reason. But we're going to give him a chance, at least again, to be a guy, considering he was really good for us this year. And it makes no sense, but he was. Cionel Perez as a lefty who can just get some outs. And then Clayton Beater as well. Proven that he actually had the most games pitched in Major League Baseball this season with 97 innings as well. Just really got ran out there a ton. And also, he's a Texas Tech guy, Wreckham. We love it. So these 4 guys are pretty much guaranteed to be on the opening day roster. And then these 4 guys are like up in the air. Like if we don't bring in guys who I think are better, these guys could be on the big league bullpen to start the season. Cole Henry was okay-ish for us this season. He could get a shot again for us. Cornelio spent the year in AAA in the rotation. He's nothing special, but he is an arm to have who could give you some multi-inning stuff, maybe some spot rotation starts if you need it. PJ Poulin as a lefty, he actually was pretty good for us this season, so he could end up back in the bullpen. And then we also have DJ Hers, who is an extreme fly ball guy who every time he came up was just giving up home runs all the time, walking way too many guys, was giving up home runs in AAA as well. So, I'm not really a big fan of this guy. He's also somebody we might look to shop around here this offseason. I might just put him as a starter, just to, boost his trade value or something. But we're probably going to shop him, shop CJ Abrams, see what we could get for those guys, because I just don't think that the extreme fly ball outlook for him is going to really work. And I'd rather just kind of move off him and get what we can for him. Alrighty, folks, so we have gone ahead and added our 16 players here to the Player Development Lab for the start of the offseason. And just running through these guys very quickly, Luis Perales, Connor Prelip, Yarlin Susana, and Zach Maxwell, as the first 4 guys are all working on their pitch movements. They've got a bunch of potential to work on there, so we're trying to bump into this, maybe get a potential boost as well for Perales. For Prelip, the same sort of thing. For Susana, the same sort of thing. And then Maxwell, the same sort of thing. For Maxwell and Susana, we're just kind of hoping that they're going to fill in more of this potential. Rather than get a potential boost, because they already have quite a big potential there. We're kind of hoping that the 45 moves into the 50 range for both of those guys, and maybe they get up to 55 at some point. Harry Ford, we're trying to tap into his gap power just because it's a bit easier of a thing to upgrade, and he also has just more potential to tap into with that than he does for the power. So then the next player is Jose Tena, and then also Brady House. With Tena, we're trying to bump into his bat speed here, maybe get some more power to go along with the BABIP and gap power, maybe turn him into a bit better of a hitter. And then with Brady House, we are trying to make him a bit more well-rounded of a hitter, where he's already got a decent amount of pop and some BABIP. He just doesn't have really any Avoid K or I, and we're trying to make his OBP go up a bit more to make him a bit more useful of a player, rather than just like a home run or basically a home run or getting a lucky single sort of player. Then we move things on to Dylan Cruz, who we were also trying to tap into his power, turn him into like a cornerstone piece for us because we want him to be that, and he's got that 60 potential, currently at 50 with the power. And then we also have James Wood, trying to tap into his two-strike approach. Everything else is already very, very elite at this point. You can see here the batting run value, the average exit velo, the max exit velo, the home run fly ball rate. The barrel rate is good. The hard hit rate is good. But the batting average, the slugging is, the expected slug is not that great, but then the walk rate is amazing with the K percentage, 10th percentile. So we're trying to cut down on some of those strikeouts there, the 30% K rate, and bump that a bit. Robert Hassel also trying to tap into his bat speed to try to get some more power. We could go gap power, but I opted to go with power for this since he already has 40 out of 60 for the gap power. Just kind of hoping that fills in on its own, and maybe we get a potential boost of the power, turn him into a bit better of a hitter. Then we have Dalen Lyle trying to bump up his plate discipline since the BABIP and gap power are already quite good. Try to get on base a bit more with him. And then we have Kalai Rosario, the man we picked up from Minnesota Twins, trying to tap into his bat speed to try to make his power even better. He tore the cover off the ball in AAA, seeing if we can make it even better here as he makes, hopefully, the jump to the big leagues for us this season. And then we're also going to add in a couple prospect guys here as Cameron Flukie, trying to tap into his movement. Remember, he was our first-round pick, 11th overall in the 2026 draft, already the number 9 prospect, and he was in Double-A to end the season, and he held his own. He had those 2 starts in AAA where I forgot to lock him to rookie ball or whatever it was, and they just immediately promoted him to AAA, and he got 2 starts in there. Wasn't terrible, but this guy already a 45 overall. After spring training, he could be like the best starter on our team. So Cameron Flukie might just be on our Major League roster to start the season. We'll have to see how that goes. And then Hunter Dietz, also a guy making a fast rise to the minor leagues. He went straight to Double-A from the draft as well, round 3, 78th overall out of Arkansas. And he's a guy we're trying to improve his control, just to possibly maybe get this control potential up to a 50 perhaps. And we're excited about him as well. He's another guy who could end up on the staff at some point this season if we need a starter. Travis Sikora missed a lot of last season with injury. He started the sim, recovering from a torn UCL, came back later in the season, and in actually didn't pitch at all. Never mind, this is 2025 stats. In 2026, he did not pitch at all. So he's just now back from his injury. We are trying to, let's get a scouting report on him. We are trying to tap into that pitch movement, considering it has a decent amount of potential there. Now, this is at low overall scouting, but we're still going to try to improve that, as he is a player who also is a highly rated prospect who we are looking to possibly have on our team at some point. And then we also have Seaver King, who won the Double-A MVP in the Eastern League. Had a phenomenal season down there in Double-A. Lots of batting run value, base running, and fielding. Good max EV. Expected batting average, expected slugging, and K percentage. Doesn't really walk, though. We could tap into his eye, but we're trying to go for the gap power here to kind of turn him into like a BABIP gap power with the speed sort of guy. Maybe next season we'll try to tap into the eye at some point. But for now, this is what we are trying to do with him. And those are the 16 guys that we went with here for the first run through of the dev lab. Another thing that we have gone through and done is we already had our manager who we hired at the start of the season in Double-A. He retired right away. And then we have gone through and we have fired all of our pitching and hitting coaches in Triple-A, Double-A, High A, A-ball, and then stateside rookie ball, because they were all terrible. They were all like teaching, hitting, poor, development average, and they were the hitting coach. Or they'd be like teaching hitting average, development poor, and they'd be the pitching coach. And it's like, okay, let's just get these guys out of here, try to get some better staff in because we need these guys to develop. And just as a little insight here to what I do with my minor league staff is I like to have, obviously I like to prioritize having all these guys as best as possible. You know, in a perfect world, all these guys have blue, teach whatever they're teaching, and development mechanics and whatnot. That's not going to always happen, so what I do is I prioritize AA as the level where I want my absolute best coaches. These are the guys that have ideally they're outstanding in development and teaching whatever they're teaching. Mechanics can be overall really, you know, I could deal with a lower mechanics guy, but as long as he has high development and high teach pitching or hitting, whichever one he is, then those were the AA guys. And then there's the tier of how I view it is AA, and then regular A, then high A, and then with AAA, I like to have good guys there, but I kind of prioritize the guys who handle aging well in AAA, because that's just kind of where you have like quad A guys who you don't want getting worse. And then obviously rookie ball is important too. I would say rookie ball for me is probably like it's about the same as I would view like high A ball, where I just kind of have most of prospects. Well, for me, the way I manage it will go to A ball and then go straight to AA, and I don't really mess around too much with high A ball. It's kind of like a in-between thing for me. That's just kind of how I manage the system. So that's why I view regular A ball more than high A ball with the coaches. But I would say that high A and rookie ball for me are like on the same level. So that's just kind of AA, low A, high A, and rookie ball on the same level, and then AAA is like the handle aging sort of guys. But like I said, in a perfect world, all these levels have guys who are incredible coaches. So here's a quick little check-in here. We've simmed a few days. We've gotten all those staff to sign. Our full staff is now in place. But we've also done some shopping of CJ Abrams here. I was doing like some single-player shopping, and one that popped up was Kevin Alcantara, the Jaguar, for the Cubs. But that doesn't really make sense to me because the Cubs just have a loaded infield. Like, they're not going to trade for Abrams. Like, where are they going to play him? They've already got a logjam in the infield. They've got, obviously, Horner at second, Swanson at short, and Bregman at third. And they've got Matt Shaw, so they don't need to add another infielder to the mix. Although Abrams, can he play the outfield? I guess he can play the outfield. The thing was, would they be smart enough to see that, though? Like, would the AI be like, oh, he could play left field for us, and then put him in left field? Who knows? But, so maybe Alcantara could be interesting, because I'll show you him in a second. But I also did a prospect shop here, and the Giants are offering a very interesting deal. So one of the reasons why I was interested in Alcantara is because he just put up a 9 ZR in center field in, like, 80 games in AAA. And the Cubs just aren't really using him. So he could be our center fielder right away, and then we could try to get like something else to attach onto the deal as well, like some pitching or whatever. So that was why that interests me. So like maybe that's still on the table now that we know that Abrams can play the outfield. But then also the Giants are offering this one where Bo Davidson's sort of that same type where he's not as good as Alcantara in center field, but he's got a 60 in center, 65 everything across the board here with 65 range. Just coming off an okay season in AAA, league average with the bat, 19 doubles, 15 home runs, but you know, fielding run value decent, the max EV was decent, so like the bat might not be as good as Alcantara's could be. We're also getting a scat on this guy to make sure that he's as good as it could be, because the power looks like it could be quite good with like a power speed combo in center field. And then you also have Josuar Gonzalez here, who is a switch-hitting, much younger player. Like, if we look at his ratings relative to, like, the Carolina League, he's a 45 in the Carolina League. So he's still a few years away from the big leagues, but he looks like he could be a really good second, third, probably not a short, but second baseman, third baseman, with some really good speed, switch hitter, BABIP gap power type of sort of a guy. With that speed is always good. So, you know, he'd be a bit longer of a play, but Davidson is interesting. So I've got scouting going on both these guys. That's something that interests me. We could possibly try to add something onto that. The rest of these prospect packages don't really interest me that much. Like there's this one, from the Brewers, where it's Carlos Rodriguez, who's not really anything for me. Same with Josh Knopf. And then everything else here was nothing really standing out. Like, we're not going to trade for Christian Campbell. This one, Bautista is probably like Gonzalez, where he's like really far away from the big leagues, and then the other guys just aren't interesting at all. What was the other one? This Fermin here, far away from the big leagues, and so is Alvarez, and also he's definitely a corner. So yeah, not really what I'm looking for there, but out of all these ones, the Giants one was the best in my mind. It was the most interesting one to me. And then if I show you Alcantara here, Kevin the Jaguar Alcantara, he has a 65 in center field with 70 range. He's very high scatting accuracy. You can see here, the power's not quite fully developed, but it could get up to 55 to go along with 50 grade gap, and then 50 at the moment, possibly 55 BABIP. Now, he could possibly be a bit like Brady House, where he's going to strike out and not really walk a ton, but he does walk more than Brady House. And you can see here, 89 games in AAA in Iowa in 2026. Got a cup of coffee in the big leagues the last 3 seasons. And they're not really using him. He's going to be having one more option year. But our plan, if we pick him up, would be our everyday center fielder with that 70 range. And you can see here, if we go to the fielding stats, in 73 games in center field, he put up a 9.8 ZR with the Iowa Cubs. Did not mean to back out of that. But a 9.8 ZR in 73 games in center field with Iowa. So he can play center field. He's a very good center fielder. He's a bit older. He's 24. He'll be like 25 by the time the season starts, essentially. So, you know, but the thing is, he hasn't gotten any time, so like he's not as young as you would want, but he's also has plenty of team control. So that could be interesting, especially since Abrams, we know, now can play the outfield. And then I believe Matt Shaw could play the outfield too, can he? Yeah, Matt Shaw could be in a corner too. So, like, their team could be, like, Bregman at third, Swanson at short, Nico Horner at second, Michael Busch at first, and then they would have Matt Shaw and C.J. Abrams in the outfield to go along with PCA in center field. They got Seiya Suzuki, who could play right field, also DH for you. So, it's not like if they do trade for Abrams, it would be nothing. I think I might want to hold off just to see, like, what that Davidson guy on San Francisco looks like before I decide to do something with this. Because if you look at this, like, they're really only interested in Abrams, so I really doubt I'd be able to squeeze much else from them. Like, I doubt I'd be able to get any of these other guys, like maybe one of these Rule 5 eligible sort of guys. Yeah, not even them. Like, I'd have to give them like a legit player to add in a Rule 5 sort of player. Yeah. So if we do Abrams, it would be straight up C.J. Abrams for Kevin Alcantara, which is not really. I don't know. I guess it could be a toss-up. Our assistant GM doesn't really like it, but I don't really care what he thinks, to be honest. He's 6'7"? Jesus Christ. But then just to show some of the other possible options here when we shop C.J. Abrams, a lot of 45s that pop up, a lot of 50s that aren't really that interesting. There's this Briggs McKenzie guy who has a 60 potential. It's 50s across the board, except for his curveball is really good, so I don't really know exactly how good he would be. This is Double-A, where he only pitched 3 games. So in high A, he was really good, and he was really good with his run value. The rest of the stuff is kind of average, so he doesn't seem like he's going to be a guy who like really overpowers anybody. He's just got this really, really good curveball, and everything else looks like he could be like around league average. But you know, maybe he's pretty good, but he's like probably the best guy they offer when it just comes to like a 1-for-1 trade sort of thing here. Enrique Bradfield was kind of interesting, but I think if I want to go with the center fielder, I think I would probably want to go with Alcantara, just because Bradfield's probably going to be a complete zero at the bat. I did not even see that the Brewers were offering me Jet Williams and Cooper Pratt. That's interesting. Jet Williams coming off a quite good season in AAA. Lots of teal on this percentile rankings. Could be like a potential leadoff hitter for us with this 75 potential eye. He's a high leader, loyalty, adaptability. baseball IQ. Not going to be a center fielder for us. Could be a really good corner outfielder or second baseman. Like, he could just slot in and be our second baseman, since that's what CJ Abrams was. And then possibly we could try to squeeze something else out of the Brewers as well. Don't really think that would be a realistic Brewers trade, where they're going to trade for a guy who only has 2 years of team value and then give up a guy like Jet Williams, who, how did they get him again? He was in the Freddie Peralta trade, wasn't he? He was one of the pieces that came back in that. Of course, it's not going to say here, because why would it? But I'm pretty sure that's how they got him. And then I'm just curious, if we go to the Brewers list here, like, what is their infield situation look like, or just their position player? Like, second base, they've got Terang, so I guess that's why they're not playing him there. Third base, it looks like they're playing David Hamilton there, so I don't know why they don't think that Jet Williams would be a better third baseman. Shortstop is Joey Ortiz, obviously. Yeah, I don't really know why they didn't call up Jet Williams this season. Yeah, I don't really know why they would do this. I guess they just, I don't know, they think that CJ Abrams is going to be a better player than Jet Williams. I mean, obviously right now CJ Abrams is the better player. Potential-wise, I mean, he's got better gap by 10, less strikeout, but then more eye, way more eye for Jet Williams. The BABIP is actually a bit more for Jet Williams. And then the speed, I'd say the base running's probably about even. What you get in speed with Jet, you get a bit more of in stealing aggressiveness and ability with CJ Abrams. But they're both really solid base runners. And then defensively, it's better in the infield with Abrams. And then probably about the same in the outfield with both of them. But I mean, they're both like not going to be shortstops. They're both like second base, third base type of infielders, and then corner outfielders. So they're both similar players. It's just, I would be giving them a guy, and they're not that much, like, Jet Williams is 23, CJ Abrams is 26, so like they're not very far apart age-wise. But it's just that Jet Williams has never been in the major leagues, whereas CJ Abrams came up so young that he's already only got 2 more years of team control. And the thing about this CJ Abrams trade, which whatever we decide to do with him, this is a very important trade. Like, we don't want to waste CJ Abrams' trade value. We don't want to like make a total goof trade and get nothing out of him and nothing that actually ends up helping us. We want to make sure that we're getting somebody who we think is going to be a key contributor for us here for the foreseeable future, because obviously CJ Abrams, you look at the player on paper and you're like, why do you want to trade this guy? Obviously it's because the amount that we have him for is just not going to fit the window of our winning here. The next good Nationals team is not going to be within the next 2 seasons. You know, maybe we make the wild card, but like, I'd rather have a guy who's going to be around for many more seasons rather than just the next 2. And honestly, just the more I look at this one, it's we're trading a similar player for a similar player, and we're just getting all the benefits of this. I feel like even though Abrams has proven, like, if they develop, like, Jet Williams is going to be the player that if he develops into the player they think he's going to be, they're going to be very similar players. Maybe, like, obviously Abrams has a bit more like gap power and less walk, and Williams is a bit less powerful but more eye. They're still very similar players, and it's we're getting all the benefits of the more team control. So I feel like if we did this, we would have to give them something, because I don't really think this is a straight up 1-for-1 trade. Like, we'd have to give them like a prospect or something. Nothing too crazy, but like, I wouldn't mind being like, here, have Luke Dickerson, just as like a thing to make it go through. CJ Abrams, and then here have Luke Dickerson as like a cherry on top or something like that, or a prospect of that stature. Like, hey, have Jose Feliz or Angel Feliz or Marconi Herman, you know, something like that. And then I'm taking another look at this Alcantara deal, and it's just the value of how they view Abrams compared to Alcantara is just, there's like nothing they would accept on top of this. Like, it would be 100% just 1-for-1. And I'm just worried that Alcantara's bat just isn't going to develop to a point where he's a useful major league hitter. I'm concerned that maybe this power just never really comes to fruition. And then he's just sort of like a guy who has decent BABIP and decent gap with a bunch of swing and miss, and doesn't walk, and he's just kind of all glove. And the glove isn't so good that it's like, oh, we can overlook that. So it's kind of concerning to me. I'd see that the development is low risk. I mean, if we look at his percentile rankings in AAA, the fielding run value, incredible. The max exit velo is 74th. The average is 79th. Home run per fly ball rate, that's really good. The barrel rate and hard hit percentage, those are pretty good as well. But like those are probably going to drop in the big leagues. And then like his expected batting average, his expected slugging, his walk and strikeout rate, all not good whatsoever. So I mean, it's definitely not a guarantee with him. He could very well just turn into a complete bust. So I'm not sure that I love the idea of trading for Alcantara, especially since I really can't squeeze anything else out of these guys. Like I can't be like, hey, give us this Marcano guy, 45 potential, movement control guy who could be like a fifth starter type, perhaps. He's Rule 5 eligible. Oh, no, okay, never mind. They will. They will give us that guy. So we could get, like, that guy. But they won't give us somebody like Lucas Braun or Will Sanders. What about Pierce Capola? He is fragile. Okay, they would do that. So we could possibly add on some, like, 45s to this. Like Pedro Ramirez, not really what I'm looking for. The BABIP gap power, all the stuff that I look for is just not really there. Jefferson Rojas, he could be interesting as like a depth piece. Perhaps. They don't love that though. They don't want me to give them that. Or they don't want me to take Rojas. This Ethan Conrad guy, they don't love that. Yeah, no, not trying to. James Triantos is a former prospect guy who hasn't really developed for them and just doesn't really look like he's anything. Like he's a corner outfielder who's not good at the plate ever. All right, so this is probably like the best we get out of them for this. We give them C.J. Abrams. This Brenner Cox guy is just kind of like a throw-in to make it work. And then we get Kevin Alcantara, who would be our center fielder. We hope that the bat develops and he turns into what we expect offensively, plus with a center field glove that should theoretically be quite good. And then we also get this Marcano guy, who could be like a swingman reliever type sort of guy, maybe like a 4th, 5th starter if he fully develops, coming off a season where he was all over the place. High A ball, double A, triple A. They picked him up from Detroit at the deadline in a trade for Hobie Milner. So it wasn't like they gave a ton for this guy. They don't really value him that much. At one double A level, he was, I mean, look how drastic these are from double A level to double A level. So yeah, nothing really there is outstanding, but he's got decent enough movement, control. And then there's also Luke Little, who is a quite solid extreme ground ball, hard-throwing lefty reliever. Doesn't really know where it's going, but he's got that crazy movement, crazy stuff, good fastball-slider combo. So yeah, Luke Little could be interesting. He's 26, only has a year of team control. And I think this is honestly what we're leaning, because I don't want to do the Jet Williams trade and then give them a prospect to make it go through it, because I just think that doing a 1-for-1 would be a ripoff, because we're getting all the benefit of getting like a similar value player with all the team control, and they're just not getting the team control. And of course, it's a team like the Brewers where it just doesn't make sense that they would not value the team control. So I think we're going to lean towards this and hope that they recognize that C.J. Abrams can play the outfield for them, and they play him in left or right along with Matt Shaw, and they have PCA in center. So I think that that's what we're going to do here. Kevin Alcantara, Carlos Marcano, and Luke Little coming over to the Washington Nationals for C.J. Abrams and Brenner Cox. Let's go ahead and throw Abrams on our former Nats list. And let's do a quick little scan through here to see if we can maybe get like another 45 from them, or an interesting player somewhere along here. We already picked a bunch of first basemen here. We also acquired another one that I will go over here in a second that I did off camera. Will they give us another one of these, like 45? Like, this guy's 24 years old in AA. It's no control, really good home runs allowed. This guy could be a really good reliever. Meh. Okay, what if we take Brenner Cox out of this? Okay, at one point they did say they were interested in Matt Mervis, reacquiring Matt Mervis, and also Andre Chaparro. And here he is. This is the new man we acquired, Michael Tolia, former Colorado Rockies first baseman who spent last season with Louisville in the Reds organization. You can see here some really good percentile rankings in AAA with Louisville. And he has 65 power. He's a switch hitter. He's got decent BABIP, good eye. He's got some swing and miss to his game, but he's a power-hitting first baseman who can also play you a solid first base. So, and he's got 65 both ways against lefties and righties. So Tolia, he could be an interesting first baseman for us. So I don't think we need Chaparro, Mervis, Rosario, all the different first base. We've got down in AAA, we've got Abimelec Ortiz. He's still in the system. Yoandy Morales could be a first base possible at some point. We also have Billy Amick, who we traded for last year. We've got Ethan Petrie coming up the system here for us, coming off a really, really good season with Fredericksburg. Going to start the year in AA Harrisburg. So, we've got a bunch of guys who could play first base, so we don't particularly need somebody like Chaparro or Mervis. Chaparro showed that he could actually be a decent major league hitter for us last season, and I like the fact that he's a righty who can hit against both. So maybe we throw Mervis in here. That doesn't really do anything for them, but maybe now we could go... Yeah, but now we'd have to give them somebody like Angel Feliz. And now it's starting to be a bit more... We're giving up a bit more here. Even if Mervis is Mervis isn't anything. He's a 28-year-old first baseman who would be depth for them, depth for us. Angel Feliz isn't nothing. This guy looks like he could be something down the line, so we're not going to give him up. So maybe we don't get this. First of all, do we like Marino Santi or do we like Marcano better? I personally think we like Santi better. Lefty, he could be like another Luke Little type. Not as hard of a thrower, but he's got 3 good pitches, good home runs allowed, movement, decent stuff, 55 movement. And then Marcano, 55 control, 50 movement. So what if we do just those 3? Okay, they value Santi a bit more than Marcano, which, I guess is fair. But what if we give them Matt Mervis? That still doesn't really do anything to move the needle for them. So yeah, they for whatever reason like this Santi guy, which is dumb because he's Rule 5 eligible. He's not in the 40-man roster. If I go to the Rule 5 draft, he's probably available. So maybe we'll just keep him on the at interested list. Remove him from here. Go to the AAA team. Put Marcano back on the list. And then we just do the original deal. So C.J. Abrams and Brenner Cox for Kevin Alcantara, Carlos Marcano, and Luke Little. And that's the deal. So all that talking, all that rambling, just to go back on the original deal. And then we're going to keep an eye for Santi, maybe in the Rule 5, or maybe he gets released. Who knows? But for now, this is what we're going to do. C.J. Abrams, no longer a Washington National, on the former Nats list, going to the Chicago Cubs. Let's lock this in and hope that Kevin Alcantara turns into what we hope he can be. The fan interest decreases noticeably. We expected that. The fan interest, not in a great spot right now, but, winning fixes everything. We're trying to build a long-term winner here in Washington, and that's the priority. So we're out here shopping DJ Hers. He's the kind of like post-prospect. He's going to be 26 soon. left-handed pitcher, extreme fly ball guy. I just don't think he's going to work out for us, so I'm just trying to trade him while we can, if we can. You know, if there's nothing out there that's that's nothing too interesting, I'll probably just hang on to him and just let him flame out with us, probably. But I did the shop for a single player, prospects and regulars, and something popped up that is immediately funny to me, which is trading a post prospect for a post prospect. This guy's a bit younger, Adel Amador here, for the Rockies organization. He is all slap hitting, all eye, no BABIP, no gap power, no power. So he's really just kind of glove at second base, get on base, hope he can, get some slap hits here and there. So not really that impactful of a player, but it just would be funny to trade for Amador, he be our second baseman, and have some sort of situation where we have him and then DJ Hers, the extreme fly ball pitcher, is in Colorado. I'm kind of tempted to do it because none of this other stuff is interesting to me. Like there's Jack Kahanowitz. Yeah, I don't think we want Jack Kahanowitz. I don't think we want any of these other guys as well. We don't want Mitch Keller's contract. We don't want Yariel Rodriguez's contract. Jared Oliva is not interesting to me. Trevor Stephan is not good in this universe. Peyton Stovall, I liked him in college, but he is not good. Sean Bouchard. I like Sean Bouchard, but, I don't think we need another outfielder at the moment, especially a guy who can only hit against righties, or against lefties, rather, as a right-handed bat. Tristan Cassis would be interesting if we haven't already. If we haven't already picked up a bunch of first basemen who we're going to try. Tolia's probably the front runner, him and Chaparro as the first baseman right now. But, damn, Casas actually had a really good percentile rankings. He's a really good player. I'm just curious, what does their first base situation look like? It's Wilson Contreras. So they've got Wilson Contreras. They probably have, Set on in center, Willier in right, Duran in left. They got Romanet. They still this massive logjam. Yoshida's probably DHing. Durbin, Romy Gonzalez, Marcelo Meyer. So yeah, they don't need him. He's like their backup first baseman. So maybe we do get Casas. Okay, well, you offered it to me. Now it says I have to make this work? What? You offered this to me, man. What are we talking about here? This is your offering this shit to me, man. This is your offer. And now I need to make it work, and now I need to... Yeah, of course it was too good to be true. I'm not going to give you Eli Willits for Tristan Casas. Yeah, not happening. So I think we're going to do Amador. I think we're going to go DJ Hers for Adel Amador. He's going to be our second baseman. And hope that some slap hitting, maybe some development with one of these can happen. And, yeah. Because DJ Hers is a guy, has a bit more service time. But I just don't think that DJ Hers is going to work out here. He's definitely not going to work out there, but it's also just a funny thing, and we're committing to the bit at this point, because I think that Amador's profile is not something that's going to really work out. He's not really that great with the slap hitting and just the eye as like a second baseman. And let me just see what their second base situation looks like. Why do they have 8 first basemen on their roster? Who knows? But Edouard Julien was terrible for them last year. He's also not a second baseman really at all. They have Willie Castro, Tyler Freeman, Tovar at short, Kyle Karros at third base, and then down in AAA they've got, Condon's probably going to be their third baseman. Okay, well, rightfully so. They view this profile higher than they view Amador, because they probably look at it the same way I do, and they go, hey, he's not a shortstop. He's a slap hitter who has an eye that hasn't fully developed yet, and he could be like a decent glove at third or second, and never really going to hit his weight. So, as like an expression, like he's probably going to hit higher than 190 average. But yeah, I think this trade, I think it makes sense. I think we're going to do it. We're not going to try to squeeze anything else out of them, because I think this is already fine 1-for-1. So DJ Hers is going to go to the Colorado Rockies and get absolutely hammered at Coors Field, and it's going to be a very funny bit that we follow along as the series progresses. And now that my allergies are absolutely hitting me like a truck right now and I can't breathe through my nose, we have reached the point of the offseason where it is time to go over the awards. So the National League MVP, who could have seen it coming? It's Shohei Ohtani, the man who does it all. Hitting and pitching. As far as the hitting went this season, 33 home runs, 21 doubles, a 150 WRC plus. And then on the pitching side of things, 25 starts, 2.4 wins above replacement, much better than league average with the ERA and the FIP, and he wins the MVP. Basically, there's more 99th percentile things. I mean, the worst you're seeing here is base running at 78th, and then the K percentage, but it's just a lot of blue on this percentile rankings. Shohei Ohtani. Oh, and he partially tore his UCL in August. So he did all that and then tore his UCL. Maybe we won't have to deal with Shohei Ohtani for very much longer, because I would like to have some other MVPs around, because he's cheating. He does everything. And then in the American League, the MVP was Cal Raleigh. He gets his MVP, beats out Bobby Witt in a very, very close race. Once again, even Judge getting 256 points, but Cal Raleigh with 14, and then Bobby Witt with 15, so I guess got a bit more second-place votes to go over with that and push him over. But Cal Raleigh does end up getting the MVP for a 6.8 WAR season, a 150 WRC plus, and 50 home runs, which led the American League this season. Very good year for Cal Raleigh, as once again, lots of blue on his profile as well, and he's also just an elite defensive catcher, which is just incredible. Big dumper forever. And then, Bobby Witt Jr. forever as well. He's fucking awesome too. And once again, definitely do not look up Gunnar Henderson's high school. The Cy Young Award winner in the National League is Chris Sale. He beats out Logan Webb and Yoshinobu Yamamoto of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then over in the American League side of things, it's Max Fried, pretty much running away with the award. Tarek Skubal behind him. And then Ranger Suarez finishing third in the voting with the Boston Red Sox, his first season over there. Walt Weiss, Manager of the Year, who cares? Aaron Boone, who cares? The National League's best rookie is this guy from the Padres, Sungmin Song. I'll be honest, I'm not really familiar with this guy. I don't really know too much about him. Obviously, I can see that he signed in right before Christmas. I will say I feel not as plugged in to some of the minor transactions as I used to, because I've deleted Twitter off my phone, and I don't feel as plugged in as I used to be, and I've missed a couple guys like this. So this guy wins Rookie of the Year as a 30-year-old coming over from the KBO, which I believe I mentioned, but we actually aren't playing with the KBO enabled, because I find that as you go into the years with these, all it does is just add more data to sim through, and you're really not getting any players coming over from the KBO who are any good whatsoever. So that's why I have the generate international established free agents as just Japan, South Korea, and Cuba. So we have like our own versions of the NPB and the KBO coming over, as well as Cuba. And then suspiciously enough, I'm not actually seeing Mr. Connor Griffin here, who had a one WAR season with an 81 WRC plus, was not good enough to be in the finalists for the Rookie of the Year in the National League. But also, you should definitely do not look up Connor Griffin's high school. There's nothing fishy about it. You should definitely not go to the history section of the Wikipedia of his high school. No. None of that stuff. Definitely do not do it. But moving on to the American League Rookie of the Year, it was a basically even split. I don't really know how they determined tiebreakers, but they both got 15 first-place votes. Or I guess, no, it says he ended up tied. But it's being handed out to Zach Cole. I don't think the game knows how to handle ties. They tied. Zach Cole and Kevin McGonigal both got 15 first-place votes, 120 points. And it says they ended up tying, but they're giving it to Zach Cole. I don't know how that works, but Zach Cole and Kevin McGonigal tie for the AL Rookie of the Year. And Trey Savage is opening up a baseball-themed restaurant in Toronto, I'm assuming. I'm sure that's going to be a big hit with people who browse r/baseball. And then when it comes to the other awards, we of course did not have anybody on the Silver Sluggers. And then the best reliever in the National League was Mason Miller, out here walking out the corn, winning best reliever. Jared Koenig here, getting some votes in second place as well. And then in the American League, it's Cole Sands of the Minnesota Twins. Out of nowhere as a 29-year-old. Puts together a 2.8 wins above replacement season. Just an incredible season for him. Cole Sands, AL reliever of the year, beating out Josh Hader. Danny Coulomb is on this list as well, along with Aroldis Chapman. And then Grant Wolfram, a almost 30-year-old lefty with the Baltimore Orioles. Just out of nowhere. Crazy. And then you also have the Gold Glovers, the National League. We did not have anybody on this list. PCA wins it in center. Also, another thing that I should complain about here with OTP, hire somebody that allows us to fucking resize all this shit. You can do it in Football Manager, and that's a game that's completely fucking broken. So how about we hire somebody who has any idea what they're doing with UI, so I can simply just right-click on these and go resize, but you can't do it there. And also, why do we need all this? You can see this whole column here is for type. Why does this whole fucking thing, all this black space, need to be type? We can move this over to the left. We don't need it on the right side of the fucking box. Move it to the left, resize the box. Same with free agent type. We don't need it that big. We don't need demand that big. We don't need signability to be this long either. We could just do green, yellow, red. We don't need to we could do abbreviations like you do with some of the other stuff. Like this is V-high. We don't need to be spelling out extremely hard every single time. You don't need this much room for scouting accuracy. Just do better. Hire somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing. It's that simple. Another thing that I should mention, I forgot, this you just look straight at and go, oh, this is walk percentage. And then I was looking at it and I was like, why do I just have walk percentage on this? Because this is strikeout minus walk percentage. And you have no idea based on what's showing in the fucking top category here. Oh my god. Just figure it out. Alrighty, folks, we have reached the point of the offseason where we have signed our first international free agent class. Pretty heavy amount of players here. We've got a bunch of dudes we signed. We went with the bulk approach as opposed to the going after the top guy approach. And I feel like we got a decent amount of players here that I like and I think could be good if they develop. So starting from the highest potential to the lowest, we have Amin Casillas, a Venezuelan French shortstop who is 17 years old, righty. Probably not really a shortstop, probably more of a second baseman. We honestly should just make him a second baseman right now because he's not a shortstop. And then he's got a weak arm too for a second baseman. So he's like a second, probably, I mean, not first base, but he doesn't have power, so he could be a first baseman. But he's got a bunch of pop. He's got no swing and miss with the pop. And he's, looks like a decent player. So we signed him, obviously. Very far away from the major leagues, not exactly very accurate here, but this is what we signed for the amount of $1 million flat. And then we picked up Donnie Ramos here, lefty, 17 years old out of Venezuela, big-time eye, decent corner outfielder, some decent gap power and power to go along with it. We picked him up for $850,000. Then we also got Ramon Huron, a lefty pitcher. 3 really good pitches here, some stuff, movement, decent control, 65 stamina, 70 hold runners. Looks like he could be quite good. Obviously, huge extreme development risk, but, super far away. He's almost 17. Picked him up for $410,000 out of the Dominican Republic. And then we move things on to Gerardo Lopez, another Dominican starter. This guy's more so control. Looks like he has a fastball screwball mix with 70 stamina. We're getting a scouting report on him. Picked him up for $950,000. Then that's the same guy. Then there was another Dominican pitcher in Edgar Cerda. He's a reliever with big-time stuff, fastball changeup mix. He was picked up for $180,000. He is almost 17. Then there was another Dominican, this time a catcher in Miguel Fonseca. Big-time power, big-time eye, way, way, way low, big-time swing and miss issues. So, not really a catcher either, definitely more of like a first baseman. We should just make him a first baseman right now, because he is not a catcher. He's a first base DH type with big-time pop and big-time swing and miss. He was picked up for $160,000. Then there was a Venezuelan pitcher in Manuel Margarito. He, looks like he's okay, decent stuff. He was a 45. I shouldn't say decent stuff. He has not, like, okay stuff. But he looks fine. He could be somebody if he develops. He's almost 18 years old, bit of an older guy for this type of signing. But he's $160,000 out of Venezuela. Then there was a Dominican first baseman in John Vasquez, left-handed hitter. He has some decent pop. BABIP, avoid K. No gap power, but, that's fine, whatever. He is almost 17. We picked him up for $160,000 out of the Dominican Republic. Then there was back-to-back Venezuelans in Carlos Ventura, another left-handed bat with big-time pop, high loyalty, adaptability, work ethic, low greed. He is almost 18 years old. He was picked up for $800,000 flat. And then the other Venezuelan was Jeremy Volante. You see a lot of French guys who have spelled Jeremy this way, but there's like accents over the E's and whatnot. This guy, Venezuelan, almost 17 years old, big-time speed, he could be a huge stolen base threat if he makes it to the big leagues. He's a second baseman, corner outfielder type guy. We should just make him a second baseman right off the bat here, as he was picked up for $430,000. And then the final guy was just kind of a meme pickup. Not exactly very tempting of a player here, or very high ceiling of a player here, but he has a crazy Dutch name, Lodewijk Bakhorst, a Ruben Dutch, almost 18 years old, signed for $170,000. And that was our international free agent class here for the 2027 offseason. Alrighty, folks, we have reached opening day here, 2027, or at least not our opening day. Our opening day is 2 days away, but it is opening day. The offseason is over, and it is time to go over what this 2027 national squad is going to be looking like here after all our moves throughout the offseason. So, just as a full recap, we'll start things off with the trades from the start of the offseason here. C.J. Abrams and a throw-in were sent to the Chicago Cubs in return for Kevin Alcantara, the Jaguar, Carlos Marcano, and Luke Little. Alcantara is indeed our opening day center fielder. Luke Little is... Wrong click. Luke Little is indeed in our big league bullpen to start the season. And then we have Carlos Marcano starting the season in Double-A as he continues to develop. And then we also traded DJ Hers to the Colorado Rockies. He is in their opening day rotation. And then we have Adel Amador as our starting second baseman entering the 2027 season. Move things on to the month of December, where we started signing free agents. And starting from the beginning of the month to the end here, we have Adrian Morejon. We signed him to a 2-year deal. We really went and, do you want to build a bullpen? Really just signed a bunch of relievers here. We kind of went overboard with it a little bit, but, I'd rather have good relievers than the guys we were just kind of like really... we had a lot of 40 overall guys last season that like kind of overachieved and whatnot. This year, we got guys that we're confident about. First one being Morejon, who we signed to a 2-year deal. Lefty, had a good year with the Padres last season in 52 thirds innings. We picked him up on a 2-year deal. The first year is guaranteed. Clicking on the wrong thing here. The first year is guaranteed at $4.4 million. The second year is a team option at $4.4 million with a buyout of $440,000. So Morejon is part of our staff this season. We also picked up another lefty in Jose Alvarado, who had a good season with the Phillies last year. Solid season, I should say. We went out and basically picked up 2 lefties and 2 righties who I think could be solid guys, along with Luke Little, who's also a lefty. We got a decent amount of lefties in the pen this year. So Alvarado has joined our staff as well. He was just signed to just a straight-up 1-year deal, $2.5 million. And then we also picked up, before we talk about Tauchman, we should talk about the other relievers here. I know, let's do it. Let's do Tauchman. Let's do it all in order here. Mike Tauchman, the Palatine Pounder. I don't know why that's his actual nickname. Let's just make it Boom, he's the Palatine Pounder. He is going to be platooning, at least to start the season, with Dylan Cruz. We're hoping that Dylan Cruz eventually is able to take over as the full-time left fielder, but right now he's going to be playing against lefties, whereas Mike Talkman is going to be the strong side platoon as our top-of-the-order guy. Hopefully hitting well for us. You could see here in 2026 his percentile rankings were quite good, despite limited time, and we're hoping that he's just going to go in there and be Mike Talkman, work a bunch of deep counts, and be a solid leadoff guy here for us at the top of the order. We signed him to a one-year deal for $5 million. Then we also went out and picked up a couple starters, Sandy Alcantara and Dustin May. We'll talk about Dustin May first. Picked him up on a 2-year deal. I just went after him because he's got that coveted 55 movement plus the 50 control. Didn't have a great season with St. Louis, but I feel like we can squeeze some more juice out of that. So Dustin May picked him up for 2 seasons. The first year is guaranteed at $7.5 million, and then the next year gets a bit of a pay bump if he pitches well. We lock in $9 million for a good starter. If not, he's out of here. We don't need you. And then the other one, Sandy Alcantara, picked up on a 3-year contract worth $39 million, and unfortunately, he threw 1 game in spring training and tore a back muscle. What are you going to do? We go after him because he's got that coveted 55 movement, the 60 control. He can go deep into games. He can be our innings eater ace sort of guy. He was perfect, and of course he throws literally 1 game in spring training. Is it going to show it here? Yeah, literally 1 game, 3 innings, was dominating in those 3 innings, and then boom, tears a back muscle. He's out for quite a bit of time here. So unfortunately, he's going to miss the first season. Luckily, he ended his season poorly. He started the year good with Miami. They traded him to Philly at the deadline. Was terrible for Philly, and that probably docked his expected number in free agency, so we were able to get him for quite cheap. Sandy Alcantara for $13 million flat for 3 years, a player option, because if I offered him a team option, he kept raising his money, so I was like, you know what, we'll give you the player option, and it'll be much lower than what the normal offer would be. So we get him for $13 million flat for each season. He'll probably accept this, so it's basically a 3-year deal, and the first year, unfortunately, is pretty much chalked at this point. So we will not be having Sandy Alcantara. We also took Marco Luciano in the Rule 5 draft. He was 25 years old at the date of the Rule 5 draft, and that is usually my baseline of like when we pick up a guy. The Yankees had him in AAA last year. He was pretty good for them, hitting home runs, doubles, some decent percentile rankings here in AAA with the International League. Big time pop, big time eye. He's a 3 true outcomes guy. He can play all over the infield, and he can play the corners if you really wanted him to. But he is going to be our backup infielder to start the season. He is taking in that Philip Glasser role, where he's the backup second base, third baseman, shortstop, although Amador is really the backup shortstop, but Luciano's he's like the emergency shortstop, essentially. And then we also went out and picked up a right-handed reliever in Jason Adam to a 1-year, $3.8 million contract. He not only does he have the 55, he has the 60 movement across the board for home runs allowed and pitcher BABIP. Coming off a not great season in San Diego, but joining his former teammate Morejon in the bullpen, we're hoping that we can squeeze some juice out of those ratings. I'm confident we can, because those are some pretty damn good ratings with that big movement. So he's going to be in our bullpen here. And then if we move things on to January 2027, the other right-handed reliever we pick up was Camilo Doval. He is our closer. Unfortunately, I was not able to get him to sign a contract unless I promised him the closer spot. So he's going to be our traditional closer, $5 million for 3 seasons. The 3rd year is a team option for his age 31 season. So he's guaranteed for 2 seasons to be our closer. I'm fine with that. Usually I like stoppers, but we've got a decent little bullpen here at the moment right now, and I feel like we can make it work. So Doval is in our bullpen here. We then move things on to February, which is when Alcantara got hurt, and now we can take a look at what our team looks like here. On the pitching side of things, it's going to be a young mix here. Cade Cavalli is back in the rotation. He's the 2 spot, but Yarlin Susana is going to be our opening day starter just because I think he is the future of the pitching staff along with Cameron Flukie. And we're hoping that Susana takes a big step this year. We're giving him a shot in the rotation right from the jump, and he's going to be the opening day guy. So he goes, then it's Cavalli, then Dustin May as the 3 guy. and then it's going to be Connor Prelip as the third, as the lone lefty in the rotation, and then we have Cameron Flukie, straight from the minor leagues, pitched in Double-A last year, held his own, and he is already looking like he's ready for the big leagues here. So just like with Susana, we're hoping he takes a big step here. He's the number 10 prospect in baseball. We're just going, hey man, go to the big leagues, do your thing. We got room for you in the rotation because Alcantara got hurt, and he's going to be in the rotation. As far as what the bullpen looks like, you can ignore Cole Henry here. He's currently on waivers, just still listed on the roster, but we do have just 26 guys. It's just we have a couple guys who were not able to get fully sent down. We had to waive. Cole Henry was one of them. And then the rest of the bullpen, Doval is the closer, like I mentioned. Then the next tier is Morejon and Jason Adam as your double-barrel setup guys, lefty-righty. And then we've got Luke Little, Jose Alvarado as like your next tier of guys, and then Ciano Perez and Clayton Beater are your next tier of guys, and then Luis Perales is like a long relief / middle relief swingman sort of guy at the back end because he's gotten developed decently well. We could put him in the rotation at some point. He does expect to be in the rotation, but I want to just have him on the team and be in like a swingman role because he's got the stamina to do it, and I want to get him in the big leagues rather than keep him in AAA. And now taking a look at the hitting side of things, our lineup against right-handed pitching, it varies side to side again. Mike Tauchman is our leadoff guy in left field. Dalen Lyles hitting second, playing right. James Wood hitting third, and DHing, and then Michael Tolia is indeed our first baseman both ways. He's got that 65 pop. He's going to be cleanup. We're going to hope that he's able to tap into that power and be a decent cleanup guy for us, add some more pop to the lineup. We've got Harry Ford hitting fifth. He's a little bit better this season. We're hoping he's going to be better offensively. I don't think I'm going to be able to see his splits. But last season he did end September on a hot streak, so we're hoping that he can carry that into this season. What do you do in spring? And he was pretty hot in spring, too. 48 plate appearances, 136 WRC+. We're hoping he can continue to carry that into the regular season here and be a middle-of-the-order hitter for us. And then it's Tena playing against righties as the left-hander at third base, or left-handed bat, I should say. Nunez in that bottom of the order for me role, the 7th spot. And then it's Alcantara and Amador 8-9. And then against lefties, it is Harry Ford at the top of the order with that 60-65 eye. Then it's Dylan Cruz, Brady House, James Wood. Tolia drops down to 5th. Dalen Lyle is the 6th hitter. And then it's Nunez, Alcantara, and Amador, once again, 7, 8, 9. The backups, it's Keibert Ruiz is the catcher. Marco Luciano is the main backup infielder. And then we have Dylan Cruz as the backup against righties in the outfield, and then against lefties, it's Mike Tauchman. So we've got a decent amount of depth here. I'm liking this lineup more than I did last season. I'm liking the pitching more than we did last season. I think we can absolutely compete for getting into the playoffs this season. The wild card is our goal. Can we do it? Also, I did not forget, I should go over the DevLab programs. The first set, which were the major ones, Luis Perales had his current movement rating improved by 5. Connor Prelip had his movement nothing. Successful, but no noticeable changes. Then a bunch of no improvement stuff. And then James Wood improved his current avoid Ks by less than 5. Robert Hassel improved his power by 5. And then there was a bunch of no improvement. But then Hunter Dietz improved his current control by less than 5. And then we also had Seaver King improve his gap power by 5. He's starting the season in AAA, but he could be up in the big leagues at some point this season after his 4.5 win season in AA in the Eastern League last year. Then if we take a look at the next group of dev labs, we've got, these are the defensive ones, bunch of no improvements there. Luckily, nothing on the poor for Luciano, but then we had a couple successful ones. Christian Franklin mildly improved his defense in the outfield. He's starting the year in AAA. He's a depth piece for us. We also have Johan de Morales, who's in AAA. He improved his infield defense slightly, looking like a slightly better third baseman now. And then we also had Kevin Alcantara improve his base stealing. That's a little bit better now, so that should add to his value this season. And then Robert Hassel improved his outfield defense quite a bit, as he looks like a decent outfielder now. Some solid, really solid corner outfield. He could be up in the big leagues at some point this season, or he will be. I would assume that he will be at some point. He could be like, if Mike Tauchman struggles, he could be the guy who comes in here and plays as that left fielder against right-handed pitching role. And then we also had Jay Allen improve his base stealing, and Dalen Lyle improve his base running. And then we had a couple outstanding improvements from prospects. Eli Willits, outstanding improvement to his defense, looking like he could be a shortstop now, as he's going to be in Fredericksburg, or he was in Fredericksburg last year. He should honestly be in Double-A. Yeah, like, he's too good for the Southern. Let's put him in Double-A and see how he does. So he's going to start the year in Harrisburg with the Senators, and we're going to keep an eye on. But Eli Willits could be a really fast riser through the system as well. He's the number 16 prospect in baseball. Looking like he could even play shortstop for us at this point. Maybe not as good as Nunez, but he could be quite solid. And then Sam Peterson, who's in AAA now after spending last year in Double-A, also improved his outfield defense quite a bit. Not to the point where he could play the center field, but he's now a really good left fielder, right fielder type with some really good speed. Somebody to keep an eye on as a right-handed bat after a decent season in Double-A last year. And then as far as the preseason predictions go, the AL East projected to be a total logjam here with 86 to 89 wins, all for the top 4 teams. Red Sox, Blue Jays, Rays, Yankees in that order. In the Central, you've got the Tigers projected to win it with 89 wins. Then in the West, you've got the Astros, Athletics projected to be the top 2 teams. And then the Mariners, who won it last year, projected to win 68 games this season. Wonder what happened there. And then we move things on to the National League. It's the Braves, Phillies, Mets, Marlins, and then they project us last. But, I mean, this is a Jersey-born team. We expect that. They never give us any respect. They project us to be last all the time, and then we constantly outplay our projections. We're hoping that's going to be the case this season as well. Move things on to the Central Division. It's the Cubs projected to win 96 games, with the Reds and Cardinals behind them. But the Cubs running away with the division. And then in the West, it's the Dodgers, with the Giants and D-backs behind them, and then the Padres with a respectable 81 wins as well. So it's going to be tight for the wild card, but we're hoping that we can push for it this season. As no respect for our hitters, no respect for James Wood, and then also no respect for our pitchers, although we don't really have anybody who has really, jumped out and solidified themselves as a top pitcher in the league. But maybe Cameron Flukie and Susana do that this season. That's what we're hoping. The young staff, Susana, Flukie, Prelip, Cavalli he's 29, and then Dustin May is a veteran as well. But I'm excited. Let's be excited for the 2027 Nationals campaign. Oh, and before I end this, I should also mention that because we did not go total overboard in free agency and we had so much money to spend, we were able to really just crank up a lot of our budgets here. We've got our player dev up to $45 million, which is not the usual number I put it at, but I figured why not crank up the $45 million. We've got our draft budget at $33 million, so we'll be able to possibly take some swings on some impossible guys, some more expensive players in the draft this season. And then we've even got our scouting at the maximum $33 million. I guess it's 33.3 is the maximum, but we've got it $33 million. So, lots of stuff cranked up as really high on those numbers. And then even with that, we still have $19.5 million in total money. So, once the offseason happens, we can take our budgets back down to what they normally are, and we'll have a bunch more money to spend, possibly some extensions depending on how guys perform. But guys like Cameron Flukie, Susana, maybe Prelip, maybe Perales, maybe Harry Ford, maybe Dylan Cruz if he really solidifies himself, James Wood, maybe Alcantara, Dalen Lyle, maybe not him, but some possible guys we could look at to do extensions here once we get into the offseason after the season. But first, obviously, we're hoping to get in that wild card, and we're excited.